Right. This week we have the UK's strongest man coming up, and this one is being kept very quiet. I'm just going to check my little list.
Top secret. I know I'm going to bring that up.
So
bring that up.
I'll tell you one thing I do like about the UK's is there's a lot of variety to it, and you know, Glenn gets a lot of shit from people, but he does put on a good show. And I think over the last couple of years, the UK has been a very, very entertaining family show. He's kind of gone out of his way to make a lot of. It's like a bit of a festival. You know, you've got the strongman going on, but then there's lots of things around for the kids to do. And I think if you're looking to come and watch a family-friendly show, it's very, very entertaining. It's done well. Unfortunately, this year it's got to be different, but they still want to go ahead with the competition. So we have two groups now. Things may change, okay, but this is what I know so far. We've got Group A, Group B. So the way the UK's work is over 3 days. They have the quarterfinals where the bottom two from each group are eliminated. Then you have the semi-finals where then the bottom two again are eliminated. So you're left with 4 from Group A, 4 from Group B that merge together to make an 8-man final.
Yeah.
So the groups for the UK's, we've got Group A.
Yes.
Let me just check. So Group A is Paul Benton, Mark Jeans from Wales. Paul Benton, by the way, is the current champion. So he's ahead of Group A. Mark Jeans from Wales. Paul Smith. Paul Smith is a great athlete from England. Desmond, I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Gan? Desmond from Wales. Have you seen him before? I know.
Yeah, Desi.
Desi,
I love that. Yeah. Oh, Des.
Yeah.
Now, mate, Des. No, he's just brilliant beard. Brilliant.
He
beard,
has
Des.
got an epic beard. Yeah.
But,
I've never sort of seen his second name before. I just know him as Desi. But again, yeah,
Viking.
very,
which seems odd to have a Celtic Viking, but there you go. Let's go along with. I'll just call it Guyan. There you go. We give it a bit of Guyan.
We got Lewis Jack from Scotland. He's improving all the time. Matthew Mckeegan, from Ireland. Andrew Flynn, who is very, very well, and Phil Roberts rounding up one. That's a good solid group there.
Yeah, there's a couple of oddities really as well. In the Matthew Mckeegan, if I'm correct as well, is the small athlete from Ireland. Not the biggest lad. Again, he's going to fall into that sort of but he's got some deadlift on him. Yeah, he's got some deadlift on him. It'll be interesting. He's another one that's just a kind of absolute sort of guns, guts, and glory sort of athlete as well. So I like the fact, again, if this was like a giants competition, you could pretty much pick it and just say, right, okay, you're going to struggle.
The great thing with the UK is
because you've got Dinah. Yeah, and it's the reset each time and the chance to get through. And that's where being a rounded, dynamic athlete sometimes is no bad thing. And that's where, depending on the events, and we'll have a look, I'm not too sure whether we can grab them up. But I know some of the events, we've seen some of these boys training for them. But in terms of...
You've got Paul Benton, who's the current champion. You've got Paul Smith, who's been to World's Strongest Man. Phil Roberts, he was doing amazingly, obviously devastating injury that he's coming back from. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of shape he's in. If he's in top level shape, major threat. It just depends, can he come back from such a nasty injury?
I'm genuinely chuffed though to actually just see him back in comp.
Definitely. It's
because this is a bloke that applied so much pressure to himself.
Yeah.
And he ended up with the most devastating line of perspective I think anyone's ever going to get, because it was cut, it wasn't cut or dry whether this guy was going to lose a leg or not. And then everything else then sort of falls into place.
I'll tell you what, just for him to get back to this level is an achievement.
Incredible. Yeah. He, like, his weights are going up, but do you know what he started to do? Enjoy it.
That's a big factor. That's
really
what he wasn't doing enough of. You could kind of tell.
It looked kind of painful before, because it was just like, this is what I think I should be doing, not because it's like, it seemed like a little bit of love was lost. Whereas now he's just like, I'm happy to be here. And do you know what? That could actually make him a little bit more dangerous.
Sometimes injury does make you do that. It makes you kind of just realize, I just love doing it. I want to be back to doing it. And hopefully the leg is strong again, and he'll be strong. But it's a strong group. You've got Andrew Flynn, who's impressed you, I know, tremendously.
Yeah.
Paul Smith, again, I just mentioned. Mark Jeans, very, very good Welsh athlete, very,
Yep.
very good at certain events. He's got some events where he's very, very strong.
Yeah, he's Desmond's training partner as well. They've sort of buddied up, which again is a good thing. You know, when you've got two lads, exactly. So that will add a little bit of spice to it. One bloke not to overlook in that group as well, because Lewis Jacks, like literally out of nowhere, about a year and a bit ago, and he's just getting stronger.
He's getting
and
better
stronger
all the
and
time.
stronger. Yeah. He's in the mix. He's in the mix with a cracking group. But then you look at that sort of that collective of guys. You know, the Scotty Millans and all those boys. You know, they all muck in.
Yeah.
You know, and then the Stoltmans have them in, and then it's just a case of let's see where we can advance our lads, and you know, it's a cracking thing to see. But I wouldn't rule out Louis.
No.
You know, Paul Smith out of that group, I would say in terms of. He will be my favourite purely for the fact that he's one of the most rounded. He's one of the most experienced. Everyone's had bugger all, but you know, Paul, aside from his collection of terrible trainers, has nothing to do. He will be diligent, and if you do watch Paul, give them back to that headmaster so he can play squash from 1984. That'd be lovely. But then Group B is what I would consider to be, you know, if you're in there as a young lad, and we spit, you know, you've got one of your boys in there.
I got two of my boys in there.
Two boys actually. Yeah,
group.
Ryan and Ollie.
Yeah.
So that's a tough one. That's a toughie if you're a young lad.
Do you want me to go through the
yes,
list?
Please.
So we got Terry Hollands making a comeback to the UK Strongest Man. Para Dwyer, former winner. Zake Malusi, who competed at World's Strongest Man last year.
Yeah, he's cracking. He was the wild card, wasn't he, for Worlds? And everyone sort of kicked up about it. Why this, why that? And I tell you what, it's best.
The improvement in him has been incredible. Because I remember, I mean, I competed against him for a while, and you were just like, you know, this kid's nothing to worry about. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, he's really made some giant strides. And
we've said this about certain types of characters that, like, I've been critical of some of the people that have been dropped into competition sometimes, because you just look, it's not going to make a shit difference, you know. But you look at others and you think, okay, they are going to get beat, but that's actually going to do them a favour. Well, because they're gonna light up. They will want to aspire. Then they know where they have to aim.
Sometimes you see people they just raise that level. It inspires them. It makes them want to do better. And
Zach is one of them.
He's deadlifting over 400 kilos now.
Yep.
His static strength is up there. His log's good. He's a powerful guy. And you know, for static strength, he's going to be one of the strongest guys in this contest.
Yeah.
Matthew Mccoy from Ireland. I don't know a huge amount about Matthew. I've seen him a little bit, but it's going to be a step up. I feel for him.
Yeah. I'm just going to adjust my seat before I vanish out of screenshot. There we go.
There we go.
All of a sudden started to sink. If there are any chair suppliers out there that wants to send me something for my big bum, that'd be grand.
She's got big Gav built on from Wales.
Yeah, he'll destroy a few chairs as well.
Yeah, he will destroy a few chairs.
He is a unit.
When I say big, I mean big.
Yes. Say, what is he? 30 stone.
Yes,
of big, and off the back monstrous. Of giants as well. So this for me is going to be interesting, because
this is time.
Is that line in the sand? That's a greater understanding. It's all right having a chat and sort of saying, oh yeah, I reckon I could do this, I couldn't do that. But now this is the point of, right, okay, you know where you've ended up. You've been against, you know, that sort of caliber of athlete. What have you got?
Yeah.
What have you got?
Do you feel for Gav, this is time to shine?
I would be disappointed if he's not in the top two. He will be. I think as an athlete himself, just because of the want aspect of it, I think anything other than a win in this, and he'd feel like he's underachieved.
Really, even with some of the names in.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, you go by your own standards. You know, you've set your stall out. You know, there is, in terms of the Welsh side of things. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but what? Just slow. I'm just gonna there. There we go. Yeah. I think my chair has finally given up the ghost with my bum in it.
Have you put on weight recently, Marcus?
I'm only a couple of kilos, but I'm just under 125 kilos, so I should be all right. But no, I think because of what he's wanting to do, he's out the army, so he doesn't have that round him anymore. He's been able to concentrate. He's drawn the line in the sand of what he wants to do. He's had the line up now. He's got the whole thing of standing there with the guys from Giants. He's got the likes of Luke Richardson to look at, the Adam Bishops, then the wild cards that came in across like Irvin and stuff like that. Guys that are just regular day strongmen that like this is just what we do. This is the minimum standard of which we go. And do you know what? Call it as it is, and Gav, you can get on the blower. You weren't there.
No,
just weren't there. But again, Gav's another one. I feel that needed to happen because you go right. Okay, I now know what I need to do. I think this gives you the opportunity. I don't think there's so much you can do in the time frame, but a mental change is sometimes enough because it's right. Okay, the attack. You know what it's like. Sometimes you miss something, you miss a rep, and if it feels like it's on you and your accountability is dialed in, you can get it again because that level of, do you know what? And now I really want it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I really want it, and this is the time where I think Gav could show how badly he wants it.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's a tough contest to predict. Honestly, is. I mean, I'll go through the rest of the list. So we've got Ryan Bennett, who's making huge progress. Another one of my lads, won London's Strongest Man earlier this year.
Yep.
Just, I think he was second, I believe, England's Strongest Man to Paul Smith. So, he's making great gains. And again, another great all-rounder. A really exciting young lad is Ollie Clark. Now, he surprised a lot of people by winning the juniors this year. He didn't surprise me. He is one of the easiest people you'll ever meet to train. He just does as you tell him.
He's
works
a sponge.
hard. He does. He just
and it's good now that he's got the right people around him, because he showed very early. Like I think the first time I saw him, he was like 15, 16. And he's squatting. He's squatting 1 RMs for reps. For most big people. But it looked like he was going to end up one way and one way only, and that's like go off like a firework and never to be seen again. The good people have got around him. He's got you as a coach. He's got some great people in his ear, and now he looks like he's built that solid foundation and a really good understanding where he's at. He's exciting, as you say. Exciting, I think, is the right way to go about it.
And inspiring to the shorter gentleman, because he's only short, but he gives it everything, and he's not letting that height affect him.
He's as wide as he is tall.
He is, but he for a statically strong shorter guy, for instance, he moves exceptionally well, and that's what we've kind of worked on.
Let's not forget there is a very good chance I have a pair of socks older than he is.
I would guarantee it. He's still got a few more years as a junior. So And then finally, rounding up Group B is Ben Williams, who's made great progress again the last couple of years. Really,
and he's up. I think his gym have put him up for an attempt at the British dumbbell record as well.
Interesting.
And by the way he threw at 122 the other day, I'll give him a good crack at it. There's one thing about those guys and girls that come from that area, but also that come out of 3D strength. You're guaranteed one thing: effort. Absolute effort. They will not die wondering. And it would be great to see what he can do over, if he gets through the first day and into the second day, that's where it'll be interesting. It always is.
I'm gonna quickly run through the events. Don't interrupt because we haven't got time. But just so you know the events, I think you'll quite enjoy the mixture of events here. So we've got the tractor tire super yoke, which is a 440 kilo super yoke for 20 meters. Glenn's yokes are tough, and I can promise, as someone that's used them many times, a lot of people struggle with them. They're usually pretty. You usually don't get many people finishing some of his yokes. Then we've got the last man standing silver dollar deadlift, which again, big weights we're going to see lifted. The Viking log medley going from 100 to 180 kilos. Again, Glenn's logs are hard. Don't expect a 180 to be flying up. And then finally, day one, the bottom three will go head to head in the car deadlift hold eliminator. So if they do it the same as last year, it's a bit like gladiators. You're given a time advantage depending on how many points you've got. and then you're all up holding the car, and the one who can hold it the longest will go through, or the one who's standing till the end will go through to the next day. Interesting events, to be honest, for day one. Day two, semi-final day, we've got the farmer's walk, which is 150 kilos in each hand. Then there's a vehicle winch pull, which is an interesting, it's a mechanical winch.
Is that the arm over arm sort of thing?
It's not like, it's like you're twisting the mechanical kind of winch basically to pull the rope. Stone to strength, and then again, the bottom three will go into the car deadlift eliminator hold. You do not want to be getting through that 2 days in a row. And then the final events. So we've got the truck pull, just a normal truck pull with a harness. Cerberus sack load, so just 4 sacks loaded as fast as possible. The Rebel Strength car squat for reps. That's going to be interesting. So I'm guessing some kind of Rebel Strength contraption that there's going to be a car on top of. Dumbbell medley, 80 to 120 kilos. And then power stairs to finish with 200, 225 kilos and a 250 kilo implement. So an interesting mix of events.
Yeah, I don't envy the boys on the power stairs right at the end, 250 kilos.
And one thing I will say about Glenn's comps, 3 days of competition, you've got so many events, it is brutal. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're an experienced Terry Hollands or Para Dwyer. Myself, I've been there before, Graham Hicks. It's a tough competition. You can look at it on paper and think, oh yeah, this guy should win. But after potentially 13 events for some of them, it can become absolutely brutal. Your body starts breaking down. You've seen it before. I mean, Hicksy didn't win last year and was the heavy favorite. I didn't win the year before. I've been to the UK twice. I won in 2017, came third in 2018. And potentially probably would have looked at it and said, I should have won, Hicksy should have won. There's no guarantees with this type of show, especially with the eliminators and the fact that it's reset after every day. That's a tough one. That's what I found hard, because I knew I was the best guy consistently, but then every day it's reset, and then the final is only 5 events. And with 5 events, like I've said before, it's always difficult. So we talk about guys like Paul Smith, who's a great all-rounder. You talk about like Para Dwyer, who's got that experience being there. Terry Hollands in shape is always going to be a threat. Paul Benton, current champion. Yeah. I think it's going to be a tough show. It's hard to pick a winner.
Yeah, again, Para Dwyer, if he puts in a good stint, he's with a shout. He's within a shout. If Terry shows anything of the form that he put into like OSG, and also just the character again, just happy, I just want to compete. That Terry Hollands is really dangerous. But there's so many little factors within that as well. And for those people that don't, they look at a log medley and stuff like that and just think, well, people breeze through. They are so different. These aren't logs with weights on the end. The whole thing is 180 kilos or 160 kilos or 140 kilos. Just lapping it and cleaning it is an effort. It's twice as hard as anything is,
Also, when it's set up as a medley, it's different to a mix.
Yeah, there's only one person I've seen made that look easy, and that was probably one of the greatest guys on the planet at the moment in Mateus.
Yes.
And he was in that. It was at Summer Mania, wasn't it? He was the only guy.
He was the only guy. Yeah.
Of absolute world class athlete. So
I did that same medley in 2018. Yeah. And I won the event, and I wasn't the strongest log presser in the contest.
Yeah.
But I'd had experience on the logs. I knew that a fast 3, my goal was to do the 160.
Yeah.
I knew the 180 wasn't going to be there, or if it was just going to be a risk that wasn't worth taking. So I went through 3 fast. Ryan England, who's a 10, 20 kilo on top of me log lifter, decided to pace himself for the 180. Couldn't even clean the 180, and it's that's not taking anything away from Ryan.
No, until you've done it.
But it's brutal. One of those. Yeah, it's a lot harder. That Glenn's logs are a lot harder than people, than most of the logs that you'll use.
Yeah.
And it's funny with a lot of Glenn's events, they are a lot harder than people think.
Yeah, stones, for example, the diameter is so much bigger. So
Yeah.
you'll see a 160 stone and say, well, I've watched a guy in a gym do 200, but you can't even get your arms around it. So you ain't lifting it, you know.
Yeah. I've had this kind of argument with a few people recently because they'll go on about what they can do in their gym.
Yeah,
And I'll
that's
explain
your
to them
kit.
it doesn't matter
No.
until, you know, I remember doing a competition against this Iranian guy and we did yoke and farmers and I beat him on both in this contest. He's like, oh, I was so much faster in my gym. It's like, it doesn't matter what you did in your gym. It matters what you do in contests. So,
Well, we've had a similar thing as well. You accompanied me last year to Body Power, and there you know, guys in my group. They're good 300 kilo deadlifters, and the deadlift for the day was 260 for reps, but it was on a wobble bar with the stone implement. No, the silver dollar implements, I
yeah,
think, or the stone implements. So you know it's going to flex. Again, it doesn't make a difference unless you're quite rounded, unless you're prepared to be just to pull and learn how to pull on the day and not have this preconceived idea. Your approach to something is as important as your ability just to lift something once. And you're going to see that here. This is where some of those young guys, some of those inexperienced guys are actually going to showcase themselves quite well, because you know, you're going to walk into an environment here of where your energy management is going to be key. So anyone watching thinking, okay, 3 days, you get a bit of a breather. You know this bit. You are up early doors. You stood around for ages the entire day. By the time these
they're
athletes
long,
get back,
long 3 days.
they are going to be knackered. And there's a whole host of them fans that have to sit, and wait for the athletes to then be done, and then the athletes
That won't happen this year, but yes,
yeah,
it's happened in the past.
that's all part and parcel of it in
It
terms of your time management for competition. When
it's probably going to be a little bit nicer for them
difficult.
this year without
Yeah.
having. I mean, as disappointing as it is to not have the fans there, in terms of, especially for the newer guys, I think they'll just be a little bit more focused and won't be so affected by that whole ordeal of, wow, there's a lot of people watching me. So for some of them, it probably will help. You know, guys like Terry and Power are used to it, but for the new guys,
When you want to
first
get something to eat and you're being dragged away,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's, oh God, I'm
So
starving.
looking at this list, pick me a top three.
Right. Oh God, I hate this
Love
bit.
putting you on the pressure because you're going to get shit from the guys you don't pick.
Yeah, I know, because I know every single one of these people.
I'm the same.
Okay. Winner, Power Dwyer. Second place, Paul Smith. Third place, Terry Hollands.
Ooh, interesting.
Yep. Just because, again, I could throw in about 4 different names, mix it all up, but I want people chatting.
Yeah.
I want people chatting. I could easily put Gav at the top of that, because if he comes in,
I was going to say,
especially with things like the squat and stuff like that, the boy's a monster. But let's just get some names going as well. I want to see what's going on.
Do you know what? I'm looking at it and it's hard to predict. I'm just looking at the events.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Matthew Mckeeger on that deadlift.
Yeah. Because
he's not the biggest lad. Same as like Ollie, to be fair. He may not be the biggest puller, in terms of overall in that lineup, but it's a silver dollar implement. He's only got to get the thing moving and off the ground by that.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that implement could actually work in his favour.
I do think an in-shape Terry Hollands is going to be dangerous. It depends if in-shape Terry Hollands turns up or not. Yeah. That's the only question. But looking at the events, I mean, if he gets a good start with a truck pull, he's an incredible truck puller. I really can't see anyone touching him on the truck pull. Even like, you mentioned like Gav and stuff like that. I don't think Gav's got the experience to cope with Terry on truck just yet. Maybe a bit more practice on those type of events, but
the dude you can never rule out for that as well, just because we always talk about this wild card element to it. And like, who would have ever picked Paul Benton last year, especially on the trek pull?
Do you know what?
Everyone was dying on their ass, and Gav was the heavy guy, the only guy to get that thing on the ramp and moving because of those trailers. You've got a guy that's giving away 40 kilos, probably 45 kilos to Gavin Bilton, and he matched him. And honestly, it was one of the most impressive feats that I saw for pure will.
Paul came in great shape last year, and he's, I'm sure he's going to be well prepared for this one as well. And again, a good all-round athlete. And the other thing I will mention, these events are not guaranteed. They could
No,
be changed, and
as
the
is
order of them.
Strongman.
That's not uncommon. But I mean, I'm going to struggle to pick a top three. It could be. I think. I think Paul Benton will be up there. I think it's going to be
He knows
between.
how to play the game as well,
Yeah.
which is for this set of for the
I,
3 days.
I'm going to
He's
say.
savvy.
I'm going to say top four in no
Oh, you
particular
sod!
order. Paul Benton,
You can't do that.
Paul
You
Smith.
can't.
I can do what I like.
He's got, your show, your rules. You throw me under the bus and then get Gav Bilton to pull it over the top of me.
I'm going to predict Paul Benton to be above Gav. I think
Yeah.
Gav could, I reckon, will be around fifth place. But I'm going for the hard one for me is Terry. Terry in shape can win this.
Yeah.
It depends how motivated Terry is. I don't know. I haven't seen too much of his training recently. He wasn't. I mean, I don't know. He didn't really do much at Europe, so it's hard to really gauge off that.
Yeah. Well, the other part of it is,
do you know what?
Has Terry's hamstring even healed yet?
There's a good question.
Is Terry going to be there, or are you going to have a reserve?
I'm going to go for a bit of a different one. I'm going to go for Paul Smith to win.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he's good enough all round. I think he'll conserve energy. I think he's smart enough. He's got that experience now. And I think it's time for him to step up and win a title, a big title.
Yeah. He's going to be really pissed at that. He's going to be happy that you said it, but I sponsor him. and I put him in second.
Well, look, they're all great athletes. So, I mean, even some of the ones like we haven't mentioned, like we've said before, we talk about Tom going to Worlds.
Yeah.
As long as you are in shape, and this is the thing, when you hear people doing predictions and stuff like that, I've seen it before as an athlete. You as an athlete have to go there with blinkered vision and focused on being as prepared as possible and give it your all on the day. And then when it comes to the day, anything can happen.
I'm going to throw something into this because I know we do predictions and stuff like that. Honestly, I couldn't. It sounds a bit odd to say this, but I couldn't give a shit for the winning order. There are other things that actually matter more to me within this. I want to see
Paul Benton get through. Paul Roberts.
Phil Roberts get to a final. I genuinely do. That for me, if he's there or thereabouts and he gets to day 3, I will stand and applaud that more than probably anything else. I want to see Andrew Flynn get through to a final. I want to see Ben Williams surprise people on the dumbbell medleys and on those sorts of things. I want to see Ollie Clark, Ryan Bennett hold their own and stand shoulder to shoulder with some of the people because they've got the likes of Terry, the likes of Parr in their group. It's so much that can benefit everyone. And if you love the sport, Louis Jack and meeting Zaki in a final. Those Scottish lads stood there. There's Paul Benton, who's already won it. Of which I'm going to state this out. The fact that Paul Benton didn't get the airtime, having been the first Scottish winner of UK's, is abhorrent. For any person that backed him, sponsored him, and stuff like that, and you didn't go to town on that bloke and put him front and centre, that's beyond the pale. Because that lad, he caught a bit of controversy because he speaks his mind. Fair play to him, but more than anything else, which you underwrite, is the fact that he gave everything, and that any winner deserves their airtime. And the fact he didn't get it, he deserved his win.
Yeah, he deserved his win. He performed brilliantly, and I'm great friends with Hicksy, as are you. But Paul deserved his win.
Oh, gotcha.
Hicksy, we can make excuses for him. He hurt his ankle, but
it's not an easy.
That's competition, and this is why when we do predictions, you don't know what's going to happen. And all these guys have now got an opportunity to get noticed, to be seen. We always talk about the Stoltmans. You've got 3 great Scottish guys in this contest. You should look how much the Scottish have improved over the last few years. It's great to see.
And again, Welsh, the quality of the Welsh. Mark Jeans has been around for a while. He's still a young lad for all intents and purposes. But look, the guys that are coming through, with Gav's still a fairly sort of young, Desi's going to get a great amount of experience of this. I think competing alongside your training partner, I couldn't ask for much more than that. I think that's, they've got the right setup as well. It's a brutal camp. It's that whole thing of, everyone's got, everyone just destroys one another. There's always banter and stuff like that. That's a great place. There's no room to escape. I think that actually sets you up quite well. There's a lot to come out of this, and I'm really looking forward to it. I hope we get a lot more feedback and coverage, You know, I know like people like to shut stuff down, but I can tell you from experience, the best thing you can do here is get as much information out as possible. You know, if you haven't got things like the meet and greet afterwards, make sure you've got a social media team that are there to do little interviews, little snippets, and capture the moment when people finish events.
It's why I'm kind of talking about. I know the fans want to hear about it and want to see these guys, and you know, good guys competing. This guys, we know how good they are, but they need to be shown to everyone so they get that exposure and help again grow the sport. Well, guys, we'll be back next week. Have an awesome week, and we'll see you soon. While you're here, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my awesome strength content.